Alright, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who's familiar with my channel knows how I feel about Warzone, and we're not gonna make a long, drawn-out video about that. However, I do want to discuss, I genuinely do want to discuss with you all what the future of Warzone looks like. Black Ops 6 Warzone integration has been out for a few weeks now. It's November the 25th at the time of recording this video, and the reviews have been, mixed, to say the least. So I've played the new Warzone myself, and it was okay. There were things that I liked about it, things that I didn't like about it, and things that the community overall seemed to not really enjoy about it. There are a few things that stand out more than the others, one of which has got to be the audio of the game. Now, I know that it's a Call of Duty curse, it's a running joke in the Call of Duty community. The footstep audio is one of the worst parts about the game. I was really honestly set back quite a bit with this release. When I first played it, it was like the audio of the footsteps in the game were just simply not even programmed into the game. I mean, you want to talk about me screaming and yelling and hollering, the footstep audio is non-existent. In this iteration, when I played the game, they were literally just not there at all. Two of the other more notable issues that people seem to still be having an issue with is the ever ongoing concern about Call of Duty servers tick rate. Why Call of Duty servers tick rate is so low in comparison to other major AAA titles, especially considering how much money they have, is beyond me. I really don't get it. We can take a look at the likes of Valorant, which has a 128 tick server. Now, somebody might argue that that's because it's such a instant kill, instant death, highly reactive, has to be extremely fast and succinct game. Well, I would kind of argue the same about Call of Duty considering its nature. I don't know. CSGO, 64 tick. I mean, even PUBG, out of all games, has a 60 tick rate server. So why Call of Duty, being worth the amount that it is as a franchise, still only has 20 tick servers? And this is directly related to all of the network issues, the latency, the desync that people experience. You've seen video after video on it, constantly just, how many times have you been playing the game and said, that's not what happened? That's not how it went down on my screen. That's exactly what's causing that, right? That's exactly what it is. I don't understand it. I don't understand why the company or companies don't invest in a more appropriate server infrastructure for their game. It's the most popular shooter franchise in the world. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, there are a few other things that are kind of hit or miss people have been complaining about online that I've been seeing, and some of them make sense to me, some of them don't. The movement system, I don't really have a problem with the movement system. I think the movement system overall feels good. I think the shooting overall feels good. There's not as much of a differentiation, I guess, yet to me in the way that the guns feel. It's a little lackluster in the impact they seem like they have. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe not, I don't know. One thing that does need to be fixed, maybe it's been fixed up to this point, I'm not sure, is how long it takes to pick things up off the ground, especially equipment. I can't tell you how many times that I've walked by or ran past a piece of equipment that's been on the ground and it just doesn't pick it up. I have to stop, basically stare straight down at it to pick it up. The equipment boxes, a few of those things, they take a little while to deploy. It's not ideal. I'm not sure if they did that on purpose to try to slow down the movement of the game. But overall, those are kind of nitpicky things, some things that need to be hashed out. I think the movement overall feels good, though. There's a few things about how the mechanics of the game work when it comes to equipment on the ground and your character being able to pick up that equipment in stride that doesn't feel fluid to me, but otherwise I don't really have a problem with the movement system. Seems pretty solid. Now, I've highlighted a few issues that I personally have with this iteration of Warzone, and there's a variety of things that a lot of people have issues with this iteration of Warzone, but it's really kind of split. There are a lot of people who are really enjoying it. There are a lot of people who are willing to go through the shit of the Warzone integration that inevitably always comes, and all of the repair and on and on and on that comes with that as well. well, and then there are people who aren't. I'm kind of torn. I'm not really for it or against it at this point. I'm personally kind of wondering what is next. And that's really what this video is about. I'm not trying to focus on all the little nitpicky issues that the game may or may not have, or that you think the game may or may not have. But what I really wanted to make this video about, because of all of these things, and because of how everyone gets emotional about it on Twitter, online, is what are we really expecting from this game at this point in time? Call of Duty as a franchise has been out for 20 plus years. Now, obviously, we're just now hitting sort of the heyday of where they're going to be able to take the game in terms of technological advancement and iteration. But realistically speaking, for people of my demographic and age group who grew up on the game, who have played the game over and over, who know the game, what is it exactly that we expect from this franchise? And why every time when they release a new game or announce a new game, do we act so surprised that the game is just shit, that it's trash, and that it takes 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or months of repair to get it to a quote-unquote playable state? Now again, you may not be on that side of the fence, you may think the game is fine, but realistically, there are a lot of issues with the game. Maybe that's just the case with big AAA games, it's a live service thing, whatever, they have to keep fixing it, I don't know. Let's not even get started on Ricochet anti-cheat being probably the worst anti-cheat of any system that there is on the market currently. Why they continue to invest in it when it's clearly broken, I don't know. Again, one of the many decisions that's factoring into the question, what exactly is it that this franchise is going to bring to us in the future moving forward? And it's not just Call of Duty Warzone, you know, it's a video about Call of Duty Warzone, but I'm not gonna just harp on Call of Duty Warzone in terms of they've reached their limit. It's the same way with Apex Legends, a game that I've played since day one, season 1. I loved the game, but it's been 24 seasons. I mean, what exactly do we expect from these franchises when they're, I don't know, are they afraid to move on to new IPs? It's just too much money, it's too big of a risk for the company. Obviously, Call of Duty generates billions of dollars in revenue. Why would they let it go? Not to mention that maybe my demographic is no longer the demographic that Warzone is meant to cater to. These young kids, you know, ages 10, 15, 17, whatever. Well, they haven't experienced the franchise like maybe we have. They haven't experienced Warzone like we have. So to them, the franchise is still relatively young, it's still new. They don't know anything about what came before. But to us, it's different. Battlefield could even be thrown into that mix. A franchise that I wholeheartedly have loved for a long time. 2042 dropped the ball, no doubt. They cleaned it up a little in the end. I thought Battlefield 5 and whatever came after that was pretty garbage. I'm just not a big fan of the old school World War II whatever era. That's just me. Maybe the new Battlefield will bring it back for us. Maybe it won't. I understand that these large companies have less margin for risk. They have less margin for error because so much of their name, reputation, and money is on the line, and that's what these huge giant corporations are really all about at the end of the day. They're about making money. So Call of Duty Warzone announces in 2 more years, hey guys, we're coming out with a new Call of Duty, man. Call of Duty fucking 17, Modern Warfare 4, whatever. And then another Warzone integration, and it's back to Infinity Ward, back to Sledgehammer, whoever the hell it is. And it just keeps happening over and over and over and over. iPhone 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, every year. So what is this franchise doing for the next 10, 15 years? Where is it going? Maybe that's too far in the future. Maybe we shouldn't be asking those questions right now. But doesn't it stand to reason that maybe, just maybe, these franchises, these series have been around for so long, we've grown up with them, at least I have, that eventually there's going to be a cap, there's going to be a limit, there's going to be a ceiling, if you will, on what they're able to provide, at least for people like me. Now maybe again for that younger crowd who hasn't had it for quite as long, hasn't experienced it for quite as long, it won't be that way. But realistically speaking, how much more could we really expect to gain from it? What experience could we expect to have that we have not already had 10, 20, 50, 100 times over. Now, I can't speak to the campaign or to the zombies aspect of the game. I know that's what a lot of people really enjoy about these games, is especially with the Black Ops Treyarch iterations, are the zombies and the campaigns. I haven't played them. Personally, for me, I'm just not interested in it. Call of Duty, as far as the campaign and all that, it offers a very linear, just sort of straightforward, rinse and repeat experience. I'm just not into it. That doesn't mean it's bad. I think the Call of Duty campaign and the zombies experience are really great, and they're usually really well crafted. Maybe Modern Warfare 3 missed the mark, but overall they're usually pretty solid on that front. But in terms of multiplayer and Warzone, the larger, broader online competitive space that most people flock to, that the majority of the player base picks up the game for, oh man. I mean, it's just getting harder and harder to really care at all about the game. I personally don't think that the game is total trash. This is not meant to be a video where I just sit and shit on Warzone, and I think Warzone's just such trash, man. Obviously, if you've watched any of my videos on Call of Duty, you know how I feel about it, but at the end of the day, man, the reality is that these games, they have a lot of issues. From UAVs in the sky not detecting people when they're in advanced UAV mode, to audio being completely non-existent and missing from the game, to not being able to pick equipment up off the ground, equipment disappearing into the map. It's just, for a game that has as much resource behind it as this franchise does, you could hire the best people in the world to make, craft, hone in, optimize, on and on and on this game. And time after time after time, it's the same story where it releases, everybody floods to the internet, on it, running. Everybody has an opinion. It's terrible, it's great, but usually it's always a mix of both. They just never seem to be able to produce something that's well-rounded. And that ultimately is the crux of the video. After so many iterations, after so many data dumps on top of each other, integration after integration, where can we really expect it to go from here? If you're enjoying the new Call of Duty Warzone, then great. I think it has some strong features. I think it has a lot of really bad issues. Issues that could have been solved, that should have been solved by spending more money or perhaps taking more time with the right people in the right places. There's no reason that games like Apex Legends, Valorant, Counter-Strike, and even PUBG can do these things, but you can't do them. And those games aren't perfect either, don't get me wrong, but they don't even come close. They don't even come close to the amount of money and the amount of active players that the Call of Duty franchise produces. And therefore, there is no viable excuse to me. It's lazy, it's lackluster, and quite frankly, it's just boring. So I'd love to know in the comments below what you think the future of Call of Duty looks like, what you think that the future of shooters in general look like. I've made a few videos about this myself recently. Are you having a good time with the game? Do you enjoy the game? What do you think needs to be fixed about the game? Let me know what you think below. We're also live here on YouTube, Twitch, and we will be streaming on Rumble, checking that out here soon. 3 days a week. Give the video a like, it's totally free and helps a ton. If you feel invested enough to subscribe, to hang out, and to have these conversations with us in the future, please consider subscribing or following. I'd love to have you as a part of the Scrim Squad, baby. That's what we do. And I'll see you guys online.